Welcome to Conversations. I am Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I want to talk to you about the deteriorating circumstances between India and Bangladesh. For a while, it appeared after the election of Tariq Rahman and BNP to lead Bangladesh that perhaps India-Bangladesh relations would get better than what they were under when Muhammad Yunus was in charge of Bangladesh. India's relations with Bangladesh were excellent during Sheikh Hasina's time. To such an extent that everybody thought that Sheikh Hasina was to some extent in power, partly because she was so closely aligned with India. India has tremendous influence on Bangladesh's economy and its domestic politics. But the rebellion against Sheikh Hasina in 2024 in August by students and disenchanted population, because there were lots of accusations of nepotism and mishandling, authoritarianism, the elections were rigged, etc. Was the rebellion against Sheikh Hasina was also seen as a rebellion against India, and so the rhetoric during the protest as well as in subsequent stages of the interim government was quite hostile to India, and India also took several decisions which undermine India's relations and influencing Bangladesh, pushing Bangladesh closer to Pakistan. In fact, the relationship with Pakistan has improved significantly, which would not have given the manner in which Bangladesh had split from the Greater Pakistan in 1971. And then Bangladesh also went far closer to China as a result of India cutting support to Bangladesh, preventing visas for students, constant rhetoric that there is a genocide going on in Bangladesh. And now, as soon as Tariq Rahman gets elected in BNP, suddenly all that has ended. In spite of all the rhetoric about genocide of Hindus in Bangladesh, the Prime Minister of India has expressed very strong interest in having bilateral agreements or meeting with the new Prime Minister. The foreign minister Khalilur Rahman did visit India and stayed here for 3 days, and so there was some progress in the discussions. But there is one sticking point, which is the presence of Sheikh Hasina in India and India procrastinating on Bangladeshi demands for extradition. She has already been convicted and sentenced to death for her role in the killings of about 14,000 Bangladeshis in the protests that happened. But if you recall, even in as early as September or even August of 2024, I was insisting that, at least in my show, I advocated very strongly that India should not provide safe haven to Sheikh Hasina. The British said no, UK said no, USA said no. She could have gone to Singapore or to Dubai or even to Saudi Arabia. They could have hosted her, and that would not have impacted Bangladesh's relations with those countries. Bangladesh would not be as aggressive with UK, US, Saudi Arabia, or even with Singapore as it is being with India, surprisingly. Because they fear that, given India's support for Sheikh Hasina, they fear that India might try to bring about a regime change in Bangladesh to reinstall Sheikh Hasina as the head of Bangladesh and India's proxy ruler there. So that is the fear that was driving Bangladesh, and I pointed that out right away from the very beginning. And India, I don't know why India is providing. They say she's a friend and therefore they are supporting her. But then very recently, the Indian government allowed Sheikh Hasina to use Indian soil to launch an attack on the current Bangladeshi government, on the reforms in Bangladesh, etc. Gave a speech and a press conference. Her son basically accused Bangladesh of becoming a terrorist, the biggest terrorist country like Pakistan, and so on and so forth. So India basically allowed Sheikh Hasina to launch a broadside against the BNP government, defend her own past. This was not a friendly gesture. Even though India is trying to say, oh, it's nothing to do with us, we are, this was done a private event. Really, it could not have happened without permission from India. And so India, while seeking, see, this was happening simultaneously. The Indian ambassador to Bangladesh, the High Commissioner, was clearly lobbying for a meeting with Tariq Rahman. India has sent two invitations to him. One invitation was on his election. Modi congratulated him, one. And number two, the Vice President of India went there. Number three, they actually invited him to a bilateral meeting. And then Prime Minister Modi also invited Bangladesh to the BRICS summit. It seems that the Bangladeshi government is more interested in the bilateral one-on-one with Modi because they want to discuss various issues such as the water sharing, rivers issue, Tista River issues, trade issues, and the issue of Sheikh Hasina's extradition. They're not that interested in the BRICS summit because they're not a member of BRICS, and it'll be just a outreach session, but they'll be coming in the capacity of BIMSTEC's presidencies with Bangladesh this year. My own perception was that it would be better if they come for the BRICS. Whether they come for the bilateral or not, they must not miss the BRICS. It's an opportunity to once again meet with Xi Jinping or with even Putin and have bilaterals with other heads of states that will elevate Bangladesh's diplomatic stature. And it is definitely to their advantage to attend that summit. And so I'm quite surprised that they're not paying that much attention to the BRICS summit. They have not said no to the BRICS summit. However, for the bilateral, which they see as more important, they have imposed two conditions, and that is very interesting. So this is a report from the Hindu newspaper. It says Bangladesh sets extradition of Sheikh Hasina and Usman Hadi's killers as conditions for Tariq Rahman's India visit. So there is this press conference that or statement by their Ministry of External Affairs. Let's listen to what he has to say, and then I will unpack it for you.
In touch with each other for several weeks on the possibility of a bilateral visit by Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Tariq Rahman to India. However, this process was vitiated by the open press interaction in New Delhi on 5th of August by Sheikh Hasina, who has been convicted by the International Crimes Tribunal for committing crimes against humanity. We have made our position clear on this matter. We are of the view that a propitious environment needs to be created for this visit. To this end, we have requested the Indian authorities to expeditiously act on our request to extradite Sheikh Hasina and other fugitive criminals, and to hand over Bangladesh the accused killers of Shahid Sharif Usman Hadi in compliance with our bilateral extradition treaty. We are awaiting their response. We reiterate that we will continue to pursue our Bangladesh First policy to promote friendly bilateral relations with other countries, including our neighbors, on the basis of sovereign equality, national dignity, non-interference in each other's internal affairs, and mutual benefit. Thank you.
So, I do want to ask the question, which government of Bangladesh was not pursuing a Bangladesh foreign policy? Like, who else whose interest is Bangladesh promoting in the past other than Bangladesh? So sometimes when people just copy America, it looks pretty silly. In the case of the United States, it makes sense that we give billions of dollars to Ukraine and billions of dollars to Israel and other countries and defend Europe through spending billions in NATO, and therefore saying we need an America first policy has some credibility. But who is Bangladesh advancing the interests of which country anyway? So he's saying this is Bangladesh first foreign policy. But there are two things they make very, very clear that the Sheikh Hasina's press conference has created. They used the word in several comments, has vitiated or has done tremendous damage to Bangladesh-India relations. And I think it was a stupid thing to do. And I don't know, for some people in Washington must be thinking this is very clever. In DC must be thinking this is a very clever move. We're showing Bangladesh what we can do. etc., because this is going to cause domestic turmoil. Already, I think Tariq Rahman must be under tremendous pressure to deal with this situation with Sheikh Hasina, and it weakens him further because it also encourages the Awami League supporters and Sheikh Hasina supporters to think that, okay, India is on our side, so maybe let's take some risks at home here, create chaos, and then while the country is readjusting to a new constitution, is restructuring its economic policies, its domestic policies, it will have to deal with again political turmoil triggered from outside. So clearly this was a diplomatic mischief committed by India. And so the Bangladeshis are very, very upset about it. So they said this has vitiated the atmosphere. And so they want a propitious environment which will nurture the relationship. And the way or the indicator for that would be India handing over Sheikh Hasina and the killers of Hadi to India, fulfill its obligations under the extradition treaty. I spoke to some people in New Delhi about this issue, and they kept talking about having Sheikh Hasina in India as a leverage against Bangladesh. But I think that if India overdoes this, then India will end up pushing Bangladesh closer to Pakistan and closer to China. And that is certainly not in India's interest. India cannot compete with China in terms of the financial benefits that China can offer to Bangladesh. India itself, like I said in various shows, is so dependent on China's exports. So India cannot compete financially with China, which is 5 times bigger than India. China is already the biggest supplier of weapons to Bangladesh, and now it is investing in projects that India has withdrawn from, so such as the Teesta management initiatives. There were a couple of free trade zones that India was working on, which Bangladesh has cancelled, and China is taking over. So already China is replacing India inside Bangladesh. But like I said, India has a lot of soft power and cultural ties with Bangladesh that China cannot have, besides the fact that India completely surrounds Bangladesh. So there are geographical and cultural ties to Bangladesh which cannot be easily severed. And so India does have that advantage over China and even Pakistan when it comes to relations with Bangladesh, but it appears that Indian foreign policy is trying to squander it. I don't know what's wrong with them. Every neighbor of India does not have good relations with India. The only country with which India has good relations in South Asia is with the Taliban. So the radical Hindus of Hindutva and radical Islam of Taliban, they are a marriage made in heaven. Yes, I understand. The Indian Taliban and Afghan Taliban are friends, but other than that, all other countries have not so friendly relations. I want to show you a new report that came out from Pew Studies, and I will talk about the whole report in a different episode. But in this episode, I just want to show you something which is very interesting. So this data by Pew Research shows that South Asians have varying views of other countries. So in this chart, it shows what Indian adults think of Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, and then what Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and Sri Lankan adults think of the other 3 countries. Okay, so they covered only half of South Asia. So if you look at Indian adults, only 8% of Indians have a positive view of Pakistan, and 25% of Indians have a positive or favorable view of Bangladesh. So only 1 out of 4 Indians have favorable views of Bangladesh, okay, and 49% views of Sri Lanka. But if you look at Bangladesh, 42% of Bangladeshis have a favorable view of India, and 54%, and only 25% of Indians have a favorable view of Bangladesh. So right now, India has a lot of remaining soft power and goodwill in Bangladesh, and I hope they don't squander it. And there is no such survey that was conducted in the past. At least I couldn't find one to compare to see how it is varying. So right now, you can say that Bangladesh is like India a lot more than India likes Bangladesh. So that is an advantage to India. It gives India soft power. It gives India cultural and other leverage. And by using Sheikh Hasina to destabilize Bangladesh, India might lose that support, and those things are very difficult to win back. So I just wanted to point that out in case some of you are missing that. So anyway, so this is the situation now. It appears that I don't think India is going to release Sheikh Hasina in the next 2 weeks. So it is quite possible that unless Bangladesh reverses his position, they took a pretty strong position, we will not see in the near future or immediately a India Bangladesh bilateral summit between the leaders. I do hope that Tariq Rahman, even if India is not going to give Sheikh Hasina right away, so if India does not do anything positive, they may return Sheikh that Hadi's killers to Bangladesh. They are not that much of a leverage. And I think the Bangladeshis made these two demands, hoping that they will give the lower hanging fruit. So it gives Tariq Rahman an excuse to come to India and negotiate for Sheikh Hasina. They're saying, okay, at least India fulfilled one condition, so we will go to America, to Delhi. I think that is what they are probably going to do. And I would say that if India does anything positive on the Hadi assassins, then Tariq Rahman should go to India for the BRICS meeting and request a bilateral with Modi, and he'll probably get it. So I think that is probably a smarter way for Tariq Rahman to even handle his domestic situation. He can always tell the Bangladeshis, look, I'm going there in the capacity of the president of BIMSTEC. And this is important. There are global leaders there. We don't want Bangladesh to be isolated. Let me tell you that other than India, none of the BRIC countries are going to invite Bangladesh to the BRICS summit. Bangladesh is not a member of the BRICS, and I think is not on track to become a member in the near future. So this is a great opportunity for Bangladesh to hobnob with the big shots on a major forum. They should not miss that. Anyway, but I think that Delhi is not doing a good job of handling Dhaka. They must do this in a better way. And a bit of advice to Sheikh Hasina before that they should not force India to extradite them. And they are forcing India to have bad relations with Bangladesh. If Sheikh Hasina cares about India-Bangladesh relations, she should move to some other country, some European country, go to Scandinavia, go to Dubai, go to Singapore. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. So thank you very much for watching Conversations. Please like this video, press the bell icon, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share this with your socio-political network. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtada Khan. Take care.